Wilson back again with another video for you. And I've just had a little bit of a play and I've come up with this fun idea with some new techniques using some products that we carry that I think you'll like. Let me introduce you to the dies we're going to be using in today's session. First up, we have the Caribbean Island, the border, corner, and tag. The next one is the Greek Island border, corner, and tag. And out of the Greek Island collection, we also have the Kefalonia Die. This is going to be the major star of the show. And we'll also be using one of the new clear sentiment sets called Amazing Sentiments. Right, so let's get started right away here. What I've gone ahead and done ahead of time is I've taken a piece of self-adhesive sticky sheet and I've attached it to a piece of clear acetate, okay? Now you want to make sure there's no bubbles in there, so get it pressed down really nice and even, and then what I do is I trim it as a whole then. So I'm just going to get it started here, lift the edges up. And remember that's all sticky there, so we'll try and hold it down as we move it across. And I'm going to get a piece of copy paper and put it underneath me, get it all ready. And I'm going to be using the Luna Flakes. This is Luna Silver, or Mica Flakes. Luna Silver is the color on this, okay? So just going to pour this onto the sticky and then move it around and I'll take the rest of it off. Isn't that pretty? Really nice and beautiful look to these. Just go ahead and pour them on, move them around, and then you can take whatever's left over and tip it back into your pot. They'll just attach wherever that sticky sheet is. So get it nice and coated. Varnish that in there. Now, what I decided to do with this was rather than having this side exposed where they're flaky and then they can flake off, I'm going to burnish off all the extra. Just use my finger and rub them so they're nice and stuck in there. Okay. So you can take all of this and put it back into your container so you don't actually use that much either. There we go. Set that to the side. And we're going to use this side. Look at the absolute bling from that. Isn't that gorgeous? Really catches the light. And now it's become encapsulated in the acetate since that's going to go downward on our card. So what I've done ahead of time is I've gone ahead and mounted it up with a little white mat, a vintage gold mat, and a black mat and gotten it all ready to go. So you can see that's just the acetate on top there. So I'm going to put that onto my base and get that ready to go, and then we'll do some die cutting. I've just added a little bit of mounting foam to another matte layer where I've done some piercing, what I love to do. And I'm just going to center this right in the middle there. That looks good to go. Tidy my mess up a tiny bit. There we go. So with a piece of black card, we're going to use the Kefalonia die. Now this is a really unique die set in that it's got a separate cutting ring and this does not cut. This only debosses, okay? So you get a beautiful inlaid look on your die cut. So the way I prefer to do it is to take this, and I'm going to be using the mini plates here just because I think these are kind of neat to use. Piece of black card, I'm going to put this into place, get my removable adhesive, tape it down, and I'm going to get that nice and taped right like that. And you want to tape the two outer, or the outer and the inner rings separately because we're going to be removing that middle one. So we'll get this set up. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So I can cut myself a frame once I get it nice and centered in there. Okay, put that on there. Layer that up. Just move it around till you think you've got it really nicely centered. There. And now I'm going to put one in the middle to hold this into place. And I'm going to do the embossing first to deboss that item in, and then I'm going to cut. I find this easier myself. So pop my base plate on that, and I'm going to run it through the grand caliper. When you're only doing one die at a time, these little mini plates are perfect. They really do speed things up. Okay, So now, and I've got a brand new mat here, so it is a little sticky, so bear with me. Just peel this up. There we go. Move that out of the way and bring these two over here. And we're going to take that centerpiece out. Let me just make sure nothing has moved. Things feel seated in there nicely. And we're going to cut. That's just the die going into the cutting plate. Perfectly normal sound. Okay. So now what you end up with is this gorgeous die, beautiful frame with a debossed pattern into it. Isn't it lovely? Wait, we're going to gild this and really bring it to life. Let me move these out of the way. And be sure to untape all of your dies and put them back onto your magnetic sheet so you don't lose any of them. So they'll last you a lifetime as long as you don't lose them. Okay, so move this a little bit and bring in my gilding wax. Now this is the Enchanted Gold gilding wax, and it's absolutely lovely. It's super simple to use too. All you're going to do is just rub it with your finger. If you want, you can use a little tissue, but I just like to use my finger with it and just lightly go over the top of this. A little bit more. So you can see that debossed pattern just jumps off the page now. Oh, so pretty. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Got a little bit of a gilding mica flake in there. And I'll tell you what we're going to do is just buff it with a little bit of a kitchen roll piece. And that will actually shine it up and dry it off a little bit. So if you like it heavier or lighter, it's your personal call. You can use a little bit less, a little bit more, get a different look to it. But isn't that stunning? Completely changes the way that looks, I think. I've also got some ivy that I've cut. This is from the ivy border in the Greek island set, and I've cut just a little piece of the ivy, and I've done that one. I'll go ahead and do this one for us. Same technique, you're just going to rub so easy over the top of this. It's a very light touch to it. And because you've got all these little fine tendrils and whatnot, you do need a fine touch or you'll end up bending them, so you have to be a little bit careful there. Isn't that pretty? Completely changes the way that looks, doesn't it? It looks like an old-fashioned metal now. There we go. And I'm going to be a little bit gingerly on this one because I don't really want to bend it too much. I'm just going to rub it a little. It will dry naturally, so you don't actually have to buff it if you don't want to. It just takes a little bit longer. There you go. Okay, take that off my finger. And you can use a little grime boss to remove that from your finger if you like. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've done one of these ahead of time and put a little bit of mounting foam on the back of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start to do a tiny bit of assembly here. And I've just raised up the frame to give it a little bit of dimension because I think that is so pretty. Take all these off. And that's going to stick nicely because you have that acetate there. So I'm going to center that right in the middle. That looks pretty good. And use a little bit of the Cosmic Shimmer glue on the back of the ivies here. We'll just pop some here and there and get them nice and adhered. Don't need too terribly much. This is a very, very good glue. But I would put some in all the little leaves. There. Put a little bit on this one. There we go. Okay. Now, let me get a hold of this one. We will pop this over here on this side. Just kind of tuck that under a little bit. Give it a second to catch. Like that. Pop this one over here. I probably got a little more gilding on that one than this one. You could add some more if you wanted to. So So I've got those into place nicely. Now, I went ahead and cut a sentiment. Now, I did use the tag from the Caribbean collection, and what I've done is I've cut it and then just used a perfect medium pin around the inside there and add a little bit of mica powder to it to bring that out. It's very, very light, but it just kind of draws your eye in a little bit. I cut a second one in black, cut it in half, and put it behind that just to give a shadow. Pop that right in the center, like that. And I've done something which is kind of, I think this is kind of a really cool way to use these Dazzler settings, because you can change them for any of your cards to match. So I've got just the empty setting here, okay? Going to use a little bit of the Cosmic Shimmer lacquer, clear lacquer. Put that into the base of that. Just kind of fill it till it gets to the top of the rim there. And go back to the Mica Flakes, and I'm just going to use a tiny little spoon here. Pick up some, we're going to pop that inside of there. Just give it a little tap. And we're going to, I prefer to use a little pokey tool, do a little bit of stirring, kind of mix it in there. Just get it all coated into that. And don't worry if you've got a little bit that splashes over, because we can clean that up. And then just add a tiny bit more. There we go. Do a little bit more stirring with it. And as this starts to dry, it will sink a little bit. So you might want to even do this in 2 layers, let it dry, and then add another layer in and a little bit more on top. I always kind of top it off with some fresh ones right on the top of it. Just real easily. And you can use a pokey tool. You can blow away some extras and then use your pokey tool to kind of get those edge ones back inside there, and then poke it around. So get it all nice and inside that bezel. Set it aside to dry, okay? And then what you'll have when it dries is one that looks like this. So it matches your background just perfectly. It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? You don't have to worry about it being the right size. You make it fit, so it's really a neat idea, and you can do that with any of the mica flakes. So depending on whatever color you like, you're good. So we'll go ahead and seat that onto some jute. I've tied with a little, just a little knot, a little bow here, 3 pieces. I'm going to put it on the bottom of this with a glue dot. Get my little tails down there. And we'll seat this last little Dazzler setting right in the center with a glue dot. And you can use some Cosmic Shimmer glue to make it more secure. Put that right in the middle there. And then just work your bow around a little bit until you're happy with it. And you have an absolutely gorgeous card. Isn't that pretty? Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and you'll look for us on our Creative Expressions video channel on YouTube for more videos. See you soon.